The U.S. State Department is urging Americans to consider the risks before traveling to Egypt. It cites terrorist threats and violent political opposition groups. The latest warning follows a similar one issued last December. Egypt has suffered a number of deadly militant attacks blamed on ISIL. The attacks have mainly targeted government officials and security forces. Public venues, tourist sites and several modes of transport have also been targeted. Terrorists continue to threaten Egypt's religious minorities and have attacked sites and people associated with the Egyptian Coptic Church. For more on this, we're joined by CGTN's Adel Mahrouri in Cairo and CGTN's Lilling Tan in New York. Adel, has there been any response to the renewed terror alert from the U.S. by Egyptian officials, and what is the likely impact of that advisory?
Well, Egyptian officials have been facing these similar statements from the United States, the State Department in specific, but overall, the responses are that Egypt takes the necessary measures to face these security threats, and it always stresses that it takes all possible measures to maintain security in that areas that are usually targeted. And that's basically, even in the statement, the warning that the United States has released yesterday, it says that the Egyptian government maintains a heavy security presence at major touristic sites in and around Greater Cairo, Alexandria, Sharm el-Sheikh, Hurghada, Marsa Alam, which are the resort cities on the Red Sea. And it even recommended that any of the US citizens in Egypt who wishes to go to these sites, it's preferable that they will go by air. And therefore, it is sort of a sign of confidence that security within these areas are solid or tight, but they are concerned about the road going to there, whether it's to Western Desert or to the Sinai.
Lilling, what are the major security concerns that could have led the U.S. to renew the terror alert for its citizens seeking to travel to Egypt?
Well, for the U.S., the primary concern here is, of course, terrorism. The terror from terror groups, including ISIL, that have carried out multiple deadly attacks in Egypt, and that's according to the wording of the U.S. State Department. In it, the State Department wrote that deadly attacks have targeted government officials, security forces, but also public areas, tourist sites, as well as transportation facilities. And as recently as May, ISIL had threatened areas associated with Westerners, with Christians, as well as Egyptian military or police. Of particular concern as well as the Sinai Peninsula, as well as Egypt's Western Desert area, where the U.S. mission personnel have already been prohibited from traveling to. There are also concerns, of course, for air travel due to the risk to civil aviation operating in and around Egypt. And the U.S. Federal Aviation Administration has already issued a notice and alert to aircraft pilots.
Adel, are we likely to see security being beefed up across Egypt, or will this U.S. intelligence be largely ignored?
Well, basically what usually takes place in these regards is that the Egyptian authorities try to investigate the possibilities. There even have been a series of attacks that the Egyptian authorities try to stop premeditated or pre-attempted attacks in the region. Egypt has had a huge security breaches, yes, in the past, but it has also taken major steps to try to maintain security around the targeted areas. And as you know, just a couple of weeks ago, the Egyptian president has extended the emergency state in an effort to make security forces able to deal with any possible threat without having any legal obstacles that would hinder their investigations or their effort to stop presumed or probable terrorist attacks. It is quite challenging. Has there been significant progress or not? There has been a lot of breakthroughs, insecurity all over, but also the kind of threat that Egypt is facing has been changing. As you said, it started mainly with targeting security officials and judicial officials. It turned to target, of course, army troops, and lately we've been seeing civilians, specifically the Coptic minority, being targeted in their houses of worship.
Liling, what is the level of intelligence sharing between Egypt and the US, or is the US mainly keen on safeguarding the safety of its citizens?
Well, the US is, without doubt, keen on protecting the safety of its citizens. That is, of course, paramount to the US. And while it's not entirely clear to what extent the US and Egypt are sharing intelligence on the security threat that Egypt faces, what is clear is that these terror threats have persisted, these attacks have continued and are likely to extend to over the summer period. Now, just a few days ago as well, Egypt had raised its own security level and also ramped up security measures around public places and churches. We know church leaders and groups have reportedly cancelled summer trips and activities as news came of increased terror threats over the summer. And Egypt, as we know, has been under a state of emergency since April, and it has also just extended that state of emergency by another 3 months. So given the security climate and the security landscape there, it stands to reason that the U.S. would feel that that ramping up the security alert is a necessary move.
All right, Liling Tan in New York, Adel Mahroui in Cairo. Thank you both for joining us.